spelling mistake on our worm, which I think we should still use, guys, because just we get the idea, because we're going to have one of these debates with the snake or the worm or whatever it's called. So still use it even though Lynnea's name is spelt wrongly on it. We get the idea who she is. And this subject is?
Well, the subject is breast is meant to be best, is it? Would you feed your baby breast milk bought from a stranger on the internet? Now, they say the pressure to breastfeed now... I didn't know you could do that. Apparently, there are websites out there, and they're saying that mums now feel so much pressure to breastfeed that if they haven't got their own milk, they're feeling the need to go online and buy it. And this comes in the same week, of course, you saw the picture there, the doll designed for young girls to breastfeed with sparked a huge
£10 an
backlash.
ounce if you go online.
What, the breast milk?
Yeah.
It's a lot, isn't it?
Well,
anyway, some people said that the doll was kind of helping brainwash girls to believe that breast is best. So is it? Joining us now, two women, very opposing views, Shona Sibri, who you've seen here before, and Lynnea Shrief. Lynnea. Sorry, Lynnea. Nice to see you. I think it's your name we haven't spelled properly.
We can't only spell it right, we can't say it correctly as well. But we know who you are. She's the big L.
Yeah, and Lynnea, you are a therapist and you're a doula, which means you attend births with mothers and things. So you are very pro-breastfeeding.
Very much so.
Do you understand that women feel pressure? Do you think there is pressure, or are we imagining there's pressure to breastfeed?
I think that there's pressure for a good reason. I think it's clearly shown that breast milk is more nutritional for our babies through, lots of research and that. But I definitely feel also my personal experience with breastfeeding was a positive one, and I've nurtured many women through really positive birth experiences that led to breastfeeding.
What about women? Because I have to say, I will declare my interest now, is that I couldn't breastfeed very well. It didn't work for my son and I. He didn't latch. I didn't have a lot of milk. I hated it. I found it very uncomfortable. I was always tense. What about when you experience a mother who says, I don't like it, I don't want to do it? Do you try and persuade her? Have you changed people's opinions of it?
I think I've definitely helped encourage mums to express their milk and feed their baby through a bottle.
Oh, that was even worse, the expressing
machine.
I couldn't get to grips with expressing at all.
No. Did you use a hand pump or was it an electric
one? And I just felt like a cow being milked. That horrible noise.
I just found the whole thing... And I hate the whole propaganda surrounding it and the pressure that women are under. It seems from the moment that you get pregnant, there's just another thing to feel guilty about. And, I've got 4 children, and with my first, I breastfed her for 6 weeks, and it was just horrendous. It actually ruined the experience of having a baby for me. And I just felt, it did, because the midwife said to me, you just have to sit on the sofa with your boob out all day, breastfeeding, and no one else can help you, and you're stuck. And this whole argument that breast milk is free, which is another argument that the whole breast brigade come out with. Well, that's only a good argument if you don't value my time. And I haven't, if I'm going to sit on the sofa all day I felt like a lactating cow with a baby attached to my boob, and I couldn't do anything else. I was tied to the sofa. I felt drained. The baby wasn't happy. She just screamed all the time, and it was just not a positive experience.
I would imagine that you'd say sitting on the sofa breastfeeding is bonding with your child. That's the whole part of the breastfeeding experience.
I certainly wasn't breastfeeding all day by any means. I mean, I'm guessing from the sounds of your experience that perhaps my baby and I, had that latch. We got the latch correct from the start, because for me, from the very beginning, it felt like a special and very nurturing thing to do.
You see,
so I never second-guessed myself.
I think the reason women felt pressure, I certainly felt, not pressure, but I wanted to breastfeed because you're told all the time it's definitely best for the baby.
Yeah.
And everyone tells you it's so natural. It's natural. It's the most natural thing to do. Yeah. And yet it didn't come naturally to me. And then you feel like a bit of a failure.
You feel guilty and you feel a failure. And I don't feel that the midwives support that either. I mean, with my 4th, there was a midwifery unit locally where after you could go to recover after having your baby. And I had my 4th baby in the last week of the summer holidays. It was terrible timing. So I had 3 children at home. I was feeling like I really needed to bond with the baby, but I was only allowed to stay in that midwifery unit for 1 night. You were allowed to stay as long as you wanted if you were breastfeeding to help the baby latch on. So there were all these mothers in there with 1 child and going home to a lovely quiet house who were allowed to stay in there a week, and I was booted out after 24 hours purely because I had chosen to bottle feed, and I felt that was unfair.
But can I ask you a question then? If that's so difficult for you, would you ever consider what we talked about there, £10 an ounce online.
I think it's only £1 or 50p an ounce.
Oh, right, okay.
I think that's quite an extortionate price.
Yeah, whatever it is, would you go online and buy breast milk?
I don't think it's necessary, and I think all that story does is, and all this whole idea about selling breast milk online, it just illustrates how worked up everybody's getting over this idea that breast milk is best. There are no conclusive studies that show that that's true. There are no studies that are done in the laboratory.
The NHS says it's the healthiest way to feed your baby. They said babies have less chance of diarrhoea, less chance of vomiting, fewer chest and ear infections, less likelihood of becoming obese, less eczema, and health benefits from mum. That's what the NHS is saying.
They do say that, but there are no studies. I mean, I remember when I was battling with this breastfeeding for the first 6 weeks, you know, and I got my boob out for like 100th time that day, and I'm half naked in public, and I had no sleep, 2 hours sleep, and I read in a newspaper a news report that said inconclusive studies, and I thought, I'm going through all of this for something that's inconclusive. They've done the one study, and you can't focus on it too much, but has proven that there is, when a mammal is receiving breast milk, it goes into their bloodstream. With human babies, it goes straight into their gut. It's not as if breast milk is like some sort of vaccine.
Through I mean, we're getting into medical issues here, but then obviously it's absorbed by the stomach and the gut lining into the bloodstream.
And
so
do you think women like Shona and I who haven't breastfed will say, I've got a perfectly healthy child, he's robust and strong. Yeah. Would you say, well, you would say that because you didn't breastfeed?
Exactly. Who's not going to say that about their children unless they're sick in hospital? Yeah. I think, you're making breastfeeding sound a little barbaric and almost animalistic when, we are, as humans, we are animals, and this is what nature gave us to feed our babies.
My point about that is there's a lot of
really
fluff about breast milk is best, but actually when you look at the concrete evidence, and what a lot of women don't realise is that most of the antibodies a baby gets come from the placenta. It doesn't come from the breast milk.
The two of you who are not doctors, but you will disagree vehemently on that. Let me ask you about the dolly. Coming up to Christmas time and the doll. Lynnea, what do you think about the idea of this doll? Does this make girls more accepting of the idea of breastfeeding?
I think little girls who see their mother breastfeeding will naturally mimic breastfeeding anyway. My daughter did without the special help of a doll.
Your child have shown us. I don't know if you have a daughter or not.
I don't think a mom who bottle fed would buy this doll for her baby. Because
I'm not sure what type of mother would buy this doll for their baby.
I think the doll comes with a bra, and that's where my issue lies. I don't think the bra is necessarily appropriate or necessary for a child to mimic breastfeeding. I think that, my daughter breastfed her Barney doll, like a stuffed animal.
But then, you're American, and I don't know if there's any difference in America or not, but then that brings us to the whole point of image and the sexualization of breasts and whatever. Do you think as a country we've got the wrong idea of what breasts are for?
The Western culture perhaps has the wrong idea about what breasts are for, and I think that it's, a relationship between the husband and wife or the partners who create the baby that, will determine how they feel about, the woman's body and what her breasts are used for. And I think I've met couples before where the husband or the partner, the father of the child, doesn't like the idea of the mom breastfeeding because he feels that those are his breasts. Okay. And then she won't do it because of that. So there's a lot of issues.
I wouldn't buy the doll for my daughter. I think it's too much information. I mean, next what we're going to have dolls with, umbilical cords attached to them, with placentas to show them how a baby's born. It's ridiculous. What is wrong with playing with the doll and sticking a bottle in its mouth? It's just more propaganda.
We'll call a halt there. Ruth, as regards the actual worm vote now, because I can't see it.
I can't see it.
From this distance. We've got such a little tiny screen, so we'll wait for our producer to tell us. You can see
57% shown. It's close, actually.
Very close.
And they're 40-something.
Shona just takes it. Oh, by 2%.
Very close.
2%. It's almost 50-50, but not quite. Guys, thank you very much. What is your itching to say something there at the end? Is that?
No.
Good, happy, quit while you're ahead, that's it.
Well, if you'd like any breastfeeding information, or you've been affected by anything that we've been talking about there, go to our website. Some more information there for you, itv.com/thismorning. Thank you both.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
X Factor. What did the contestants get up to?